Good morning and welcome to today's mobility session. This is 20 to 30 minutes of gentle movement designed for seniors, but really for anyone who just wants to move their body, get a little bit of mobility in, and be ready for the rest of your day or to start a workout. So, as always, we'll do 3 circuits of 3 exercises. And our first one is going to start with shoulders. We're doing a field goal rotation to overhead reach. So just stand in the middle of your floor, 90 degrees at the elbows, and then straighten the arms up overhead. We're being real slow and deliberate about this movement, keeping active shoulders, reaching up 90 degrees, rotate, rotate, reaching up 90 degrees, rotate, rotate. Up, down, little internal and external rotation for the shoulders. Down, up. We'll do one more. Down, up, and reach. Wonderful. Then our second one, we're going to do some hip and torso mobility with a side bend and a hip shift. So the hip shift is optional if your hips allow it. Just keep standing where you are with feet a few inches apart, and then have your hands behind your head. If you prefer to have them at your sides, that's okay. But I'm going to do a side bend at the same time, pushing my hips laterally and then coming back to the top. I'm going to do the same side, hip shift as I bend and come back to the top. Bend, hips move over, back to the top. So your hips are shifting away from whatever side you're crunching towards. Back to the top. Sometimes there's a tendency to bring the torso forward on these. Try to make sure you're just moving laterally in that direction. And now other side. Bend, hips move to the side. Bend, hips move over to the side. Back up. Bend, hips shift. This is getting a nice stretch in our obliques, also working that lateral hip mobility. It's good to work a lot of our joints in different planes of motion. And sometimes this lateral movement can be a bit tricky. So if it feels like it's hard to figure out how to get your hips to go in that direction, it's totally okay. Just give it some time, a little bit of practice. And the more you do it, your hips might open up a little bit more in that lateral direction. Last one, hip shift and back to the top. Perfect. Right. And then our third one is going to be a hip hinge drill, practicing essentially a Romanian deadlift. My feet are just hip distance apart, hands right in front of the legs. And then I'm going to send the hips backward as I allow a slight bend in the knee, hopefully feeling a hamstring stretch. That's the back of your leg. Hips reach backward, back stays flat, and coming back to the top. Taking your time, hips move backward. It's not just the torso leaning over. And I'm just going until my hands are a little bit below my knees. Maybe mid-calf, but no further than that because we're prioritizing this nice flat back hip hinge versus rounding towards the toes. We'll do 2 more. Hips reach back, feel a hamstring stretch. And back to the top one more time. Knees are allowed to bend as you hinge the hips backward. And rest. Very good. Alrighty, that is our first circuit. So we'll repeat it for one more time, starting back at the top with that field goal rotation to press. So finding our 90-degree elbows, palms facing down, and then rotate up, reach long, back to 90, rotate down, rotate, reach, and back down. Everyone's overhead mobility is totally different, so if you find it hard to straighten your elbows or even to keep your arms in line with your head, if yours are a little bit forward, that's totally okay. It still works on improving that overhead mobility, which is really useful in daily life tasks like putting things in a cupboard. So it's great to do with just body weight, especially if you're someone who's had any sort of shoulder surgery or shoulder issue. Just stay within that range of motion that feels comfortable and safe. Last one, rotate, rotate, press, and back down. Perfect. Alrighty, then back to our side bend with hip shift. Hands behind the head. If your arms are a little tired, feel free to just have them at your side or at your hip. And then we're gonna bend as we reach the hips the other direction and come back to the top. It's good on this one not to go too fast so that you can keep your core engaged and not use momentum to do the work of this movement. Instead, we want those muscles working to control the range of motion. Bend and back to the top, maybe seeing if you feel like the hips are a little bit looser, more free to move. One more for this side. Reach and back up. Then we'll go to the other side. Reach the hips, back up. If I'm bending to the right, I'm sending my hips to the left. Back. Making sure to breathe throughout all these movements. Taking your time. We'll do two more on this side. Bend and shift those hips over. And last one, shift and rest. Perfect. And then one more time with our hip hinge movement. Again, feet are just hip distance apart, maybe about 5 or 6 inches. Hands in front of the thighs. We're looking to feel a stretch in our hamstrings or the back of our legs as we push the hips back. Back stays flat and come back up. A lot of people might want to round the shoulders forward, but try to keep them pulled back. Sometimes thinking about pinching an orange in your armpit can be something that helps you hold the shoulders back. Some good imagery. Reach the hips, stretch, and back up. Reach, back stays flat, and back up. 2 more. And if this was one that going this far felt a little bit too much, you could always shorten it and just end with the hands right above the knees. It's always okay to reduce the range of motion to whatever you need. And rest. Very good. Alrighty, for our second circuit, we're gonna go down onto the floor. So make your way onto a comfortable surface or a yoga mat, and I'll meet you down there. For our first one, we're gonna start in the hands and knees position with hands right underneath shoulders, knees right underneath hips. And then I'm gonna take one foot and put it directly in line with my other knee. Make sure it's not way up by your hands or way back by your foot, but just right in line with the knee. And my toe is facing to the side. Then I'm gonna open this top arm up and then reach underneath the bottom arm. Reaching up, not too fast, kind of threading that needle if you've ever used that in yoga. Reaching underneath the arm. This is a little thoracic rotation. That's our upper middle back. Really great one to work posture when we do mobility here. We'll do one more time on this side, taking your time, reach up and reach through. Wonderful. Then we're gonna do the other side. So go back to your tabletop and then put your other leg out even with the knee with toes pointing out to the side. And then we're gonna reach up and then reach through. One other thing to notice would be to make sure that your shoulder of this hand that's on the ground, that it stays right above your hand and your wrist. We don't want to push back too far or be too far forward. If ever we can, we like to keep our joints stacked during exercises, even mobility exercises usually. So make sure that that's in a nice straight line. Last one here. And rest. Very good. Alrighty, the good news is we get to just stay in this position, but if you need to give either of your wrists a little bit of a roll, feel free. And if this happened to be challenging on your wrists, you could fold up a little towel and put it just underneath the palm of your hand like a wedge, and that often reduces any load on the wrist. But from here, we're gonna do a bird dog, but with just the legs. So I'm just gonna take one leg, lift it straight back, not higher than my hips, but trying to get it even with my hips, and then carefully lift the other leg. So for a bird dog, we often add the arm. So essentially we're just doing the dog part of that movement. Straightening out one side, notice how your weight shifts, but try to keep your body square, facing the floor. And try to make sure that your shoulders aren't collapsing into your hands, but keep a nice pushed away from the ground type of shoulder position. We've got one more on each side, reach and down. Other side, reach and down. Perfect. Alrighty, we get to come out of that bird dog position for our last one and into a butterfly type of groin stretch position. If you need to have your back resting against a wall for this one or a really sturdy chair, that's totally okay. And then you're gonna have the soles of your feet together, bringing them in however far is comfortable. Yours might look way out here, that's totally okay. Or if it feels all right to tuck them in, do so. And so if you can, no matter where your feet are, kind of grab onto your foot or your ankle. And we're going to rock back and then a little bit forward. Now this is gonna look really different for every person. So just do what you can. Your knees might be up here as you're leaning forward and it might feel really tight. That's okay. Mobility always challenges that. Or you can just hold still if that pushing forward is a little bit too much for today. But rock, a little bit forward, a little bit backward. Hopefully this is obviously a hip opener, working a lot, especially if you're a desk sitter. Great for that hip mobility. One more time, forwards and back. Perfect. Alrighty, we've got one more round of these 3 floor exercises. So back to our arm rotation with hip open. So for this one, I put that foot out to the side with toes pointing outward, and then I lift my arm up, and when you're ready, we will thread that arm down, reaching underneath whatever amount of rotation you can get with that reach. We're gonna do 5 on each side, and this is 3. Reach and twist. Last one, reach and twist. Very good. Then come back through our hands and knees position, and we'll go to the other side. Putting that leg even with the knee, foot outward. And then when you're ready, lift up and we'll go underneath and lift back up. Reach, maybe seeing if you can get a tiny bit extra reach this last time. Good, remember to breathe. Last one for this side, reach and rotate through. Very good. Alrighty, then feel free to give your wrists a gentle roll if they need it. Come back to that hands and knees position. And then when you're ready, make sure those shoulders are pushed away from the ground. You're not collapsing towards it. And then reaching one leg out, back down, reach one leg out, and back down. Another great one for opening up the hips as we straighten the leg. We're extending the hip flexor. Also a little bit of nice core work doing this one. So you can always pay a little bit of attention to that. Make sure to breathe through this one if you have a tendency to hold your breath. We'll do one more for each side. Straighten, back down, straighten, and back down. Alrighty. Then make your way back to our butterfly stretch. Whatever foot distance feels good for you. I'm going to pull mine in just a little bit and then start that rocking forward and backward. Pull and back. Pull. Good. Making sure you're not forcing it with that range of motion as you move forward. Just a nice controlled movement. Good. This one always feels really nice. We'll do 2 more times. Pull and back. Last one. Pull and back. Perfect. Alrighty, for our third circuit, we're going to go back up to standing. So meet me there, and then we'll get started with our third circuit. And for this one, there's going to be an option for a little bit of balance support. So this could be a wall, it could be a chair, anything that you want to grab for just a little bit of balance assist. And we're going to do another hip opener with some hip rotation. So I'm standing with 1 foot in front, 1 foot back, maybe about 2 feet behind my front heel. And then what I'm going to do is rotate my hips towards the open direction and then close them back off. Rotating outwards, away from the wall or your balance point, and then back to the start. Really focus on that movement coming from the hips and close back off. This hand is just resting wherever it needs to provide some support. And then square your hips off once again. Rotate and close back off. One more time, opening them up and squaring them off. Perfect. Then we'll go to the other side. 1 foot forward, 1 foot behind. I like to be on my toes, but you could have that foot flat if it were more comfortable. And then when you're ready, open up the hips and close them back off. If you really wanted to test your balance, you could do this without holding on, but no need to do that if you just want to work on the mobility today. Open up, close the hips back off, open, and close. 2 more times for this side. Twist and back. Last one. Twist and back. Very good. Alrighty. Our second one, we're going back to shoulder and upper back mobility. And for this one, we're going to start with feet about hip distance apart. They could be shoulder width as well. And then I'm going to hinge over like we did in that deadlift position and start with my hands just on the inside of my knees with my palms facing each other, thumbs pointing upward. Make sure your chin is tucked on this one. And then we're just going to do bent over eyes. So I'm raising my hands up, bringing them back down. If this felt a little much on your lower back, you could do this in a standing position, just standing and raising your arms up to your ears and back down. But if you can be at a slight hinge, that just challenges your overhead mobility a little bit more. So maybe try to pull your core in tight and embrace that challenge. We've got two more. Lift, down, last one, lift, and down. Perfect. Alrighty, and then our third one is going to be some nice shoulder circles, a little bit of an easier one, just with your hands at your sides. Gonna think about shrugging your shoulders up as high as you can, pulling them back and down, bringing them forward for a nice big circle. Sometimes it feels a little silly to exaggerate this one, but that's what's really gonna make your shoulder joint go through a big range of motion, which is always what we want. So don't be afraid to really try to shrug up, back and down. And then rest for a second. And we're gonna reverse it by squeezing up and rolling the shoulders forward. Back, shrug up and down. Might feel a little bit more natural to go in one direction. That's totally okay. Two more times. Not too fast. That's also what makes it hard but effective. And rest. Good. Alrighty, we've got one more round going back to our hip rotation. So finding that balance support, 1 foot forward, 1 foot a little bit backward, and then rotating the hips and closing them back off. Rotating. If you need to have this toe point outward or move a little bit on that back foot, that's okay. But if you can, just have all that rotation come from the hip and close back off. Open and close. One more time, open and close. Perfect. And then switch sides. Grab that balance support, one leg forward, one leg back. And then when you're ready, open the hips up and close them back off. Open and close, remembering your breath. Open, close, good. Even just holding this position might work a little bit of hip mobility. So do whatever amount of the twisting that you can. Two more times, open and close. Last one, open and close. Perfect. All right, take a moment, take a breath, and then we're going right into that bent over eye. So hinge the hips back, hands on the inside of the knees, pulling that core in nice and strong, and then lift the arms straight up in that eye and back down. Just lifting till whenever you meet that natural point of resistance, keeping it really smooth. We don't want to do anything jerky to try to get extra range of motion. Just keep it really nice and smooth. Lift and lower. Lift. We got two more. Exhale as you raise the arms up. Inhale as you bring them down. Last one, same thing. Exhale. And inhale. Rest. Good. And then our last one, going back to those shoulder circles. Just finding a regular standing position. We'll go backwards first, shrugging up and back with the shoulders. Making as big of a movement as you can. Not forgetting about the part where you pull the shoulders back, squeeze them together before they come back down. And one more, up, back and down. And then reverse it, forward circles. Good. We're doing 5 of them, not too quick. Make the muscles control that whole movement. 4, one more to get 5, and rest. Very nice. Alrighty, well, I hope you feel a little bit warmed up and ready to face your day, whether you're heading into a workout or just moving around. If you'd like more information from Hello Strength Seniors, go find us over on Instagram, or I will see you next week, same time, for another morning mobility.